Sarah here, aka the Business Fixer. So, as you probably have noticed, I've actually got my office background today. I've done that in the hope to see whether the broadband actually or the signal seems a bit more stable, fingers crossed. What are we talking about today? Today we are talking about the 5 quick and easy ways to create packages within your service-based business, price them right. Now, one of the key things that I often see when I'm working with businesses, and one of the first things I'm often looking at is the financial side, and in particular, how we can quickly increase the level of income that is coming into the business. And often I see where owners are not pricing their services right. And there are a couple of aspects that I frequently see, one of which is that they are too afraid to be more expensive than their competitors. They are too afraid to put their prices up because they're afraid that they will lose some of their client base. But actually, I tend to see that if you are pricing your services based on the value in which you provide, which does then mean you can charge a premium, one, you will actually eliminate the clients that you don't really want working with. Your ideal clients, if they are truly your ideal clients, they will pay you whatever you turn around and ask for the services that you provide, because they believe in the value in which you can provide. They believe that you can give them the result that they're looking for, and people will pay whatever you command to get those results. Now, if they are quibbling with you saying, oh, you're too expensive, then the question I would have for you is, are they your ideal client in the first place? Okay, so when you are looking at your packages, one part of your package is the pricing. Now, as I said, first of all, you've got to understand the difference between the cost and value. Okay, now what often I see is businesses try to undercut the market to attract clients, but that's when you're then prioritizing cost over value, and it just then positions you as a business that is just another option in the crowd. That is polar opposite what you want to be. What you want to be focusing on what makes you unique, right? So it's more than just about the outcomes you deliver, or that's an important part. It's about your specialized approach. What makes you different compared to your market in terms of the rest of your market, right? It needs to be tailored. So your unique selling point needs to be tailored to a client-first approach. So, you know, and that's where you've really got to think about, okay, what really makes you different, and what do your clients actually care about in terms of you being different? Okay, so don't compete on price alone. Focus on what makes your service unique, whether it's your niche expertise, your proven process, or exceptional client care. But you really need to be crystal clear on this, because, and this is where I often see where businesses, they start saying certain phrases that everybody else is also saying in the market. So when I say unique, it needs to be unique. Okay, so number 2. Now, this I know particularly in law firms and sometimes accountancy practices, you know, you work based on the hour. And actually, if you charge by the hour, you can even undervalue your expertise and your problem-solving capabilities that you can bring to your clients, right? So rather than focusing on the time spent, think about the result. Because actually, again, you can potentially then charge more. And I appreciate that for some things, for example, if you're a litigation solicitor, and I know this because I used to be one, that you could take a matter on and you genuinely don't know how long it's going to take, and you can't always guarantee the result that you're going to be able to generate. All you can do is try to reach a certain result. So it is harder to then turn around and say, okay, we're going to do like a fixed fee. Now, what I would say specifically for law firms is that when you build packages that are around the outcome. So, for example, with a litigation case, if you've got some of the work I used to do would be like a contested probate or property litigation, is that you would do it based on each component of the process. So you would charge a fixed fee for for example, trying to see if you can settle it out of court before you get into the court proceedings. But you do need to set a maximum amount in which you are prepared to do on that. But if you, for example, you manage to get it resolved and without going to litigation, you might be able to charge a premium on that. Whereas if it gets into litigation, you might then be charging slightly less. And it's the getting it resolved bit is the bit that actually means that it's the outcome-based pricing. I hope that makes some sense to you, okay? Remember, clients want results, not timesheets. Okay, third, consider tiered pricing for different levels of value. So obviously I just talked about for a moment in terms of tiered pricing in the sense of for breaking down the process. What I'm talking about is, for example, in in an accountant's practice, what you might do is you'd have a basic package, which is their annual tax filing, in terms of your personal tax return, your company accounts, and a bit of compliance support. Then you could have your mid-tier, which is, not only all of those things, but you also then add in a quarterly financial review. Then you could have a premium, which includes all of those things, but you get comprehensive financial management, including tax strategy, forecasting, and budgeting. And that way, then you can, depending on what your clients want from you, you're giving them the flexibility, but they can potentially invest in higher value services, right? So it's actually increasing the levels of service and giving a clear value at each level to cater to what your clients' needs are, okay? Number 4, and this is really, really important. Communicate the value of your experience, okay? They're not necessarily going to be interested in how long you've been in business, but what they do care about is whether you have the expertise and knowledge to solve their problem, okay? Your job is effectively to communicate how your experience makes you the best to deliver results. And that doesn't matter what industry you're in, okay? But your knowledge and your skill set are your assets. So you take, for example, a HR consultant. What you could do is showcase how you understand employment law and conflict resolution by, in terms of giving them examples of, other things that you have resolved and managed to bring to a conclusion without it costing them, where you are doing things like preventative rather than just cure, right? So you showcase with case studies and demonstrating the fact that you have managed to, as a result of your knowledge and skill set, you've managed to get these resolved, okay? So it also then means that you can reinforces why your pricing reflects the expertise you bring to the table, because ultimately you are experts in your field and you need to charge accordingly. Number 5. Now, this is probably one of the biggest ones that I kind of touched upon at the very beginning that I see time and time again. It's so tempting to lower your prices to attract more clients, but actually underpricing can do more harm than good. When you price yourself too low, actually clients may then perceive your service as subpar. That's not what you want, which ultimately hurt your reputation and profitability, right? So instead, if you're focusing on the value you provide, you can charge accordingly, right? And again, this kind of ties back to, in terms of charging cost and value. Don't undercharge yourself. Be confident in your pricing, okay? So one of my clients, one of the key strategies that has made a real difference in his business is by looking at his pricing strategy, where we have looked at what his packages are, and what we've then done is we've looked at what he actually does within those packages, why is he different compared to others, and then we have priced accordingly. And he has had some feedback where people have turned around and said he's expensive, or his competitor, he charges twice his competitor. And the response now is from the client is, well, they're not my ideal client then. Now, initially when we first were looking at this, he was reluctant because he did have that mindset of, I'm going to scare people off, people aren't going to pay it. But people have been paying his higher fees. In fact, many of his clients don't even question it and just say, yep, that's absolutely fine, because they're his ideal clients, and because he's demonstrating the value in which he provides. He's demonstrating his expertise, right? And competitors aren't demonstrating that. So all they're doing, his competitors are literally looking at what the other competitors are doing on the market and doing the undercutting. You're never ever going to succeed if you are constantly undercutting other people, because ultimately, if you are undercutting, you're not going to be as profitable. It's going to take a heck of a lot more for you to be turning over and being as profitable as somebody like my client. For example, his income has increased 3 times since I've started working with him, and that is largely down to us changing the pricing strategy. Now, that's a massive increase, 3 times his income. And, he had been working so hard, he'd had staff before, and he still wasn't generating the level of income he needed to. Now we've changed the strategy. As his business builds and we bring in more people doing what he does, all that is just going to go up and up and up. But he'll actually be more profitable because of the fact that he is charging what he is worth, rather than what cost or even considering competitors are charging. So when creating your packages that you're offering to your clients, remember that clients are paying for your expertise, experience, and the results you deliver, not just your time, right? So by focusing on value, building solution-orientated packages, and confidently pricing your services, you're then going to attract the clients who appreciate the worth of what you offer. Now, if you would like some help in refining your packages, looking at your pricing strategy, then the best thing you can do is book yourself into a Power Hour coaching session with me. Now, if you're interested in booking in a session, then all you just need to do is put in the comments Power Hour, or feel free to DM me also with the phrase Power Hour, and we can then have a conversation. Now, hopefully you have found today's session helpful and you can gain some real insights on ways in which you can really improve your your pricing strategy. So thank you guys for listening, and I look forward